I charged a mid-sized furniture manufacturer $7,200 last month to solve a tactical problem that was threatening to kick them off the vendor lists of major retailers like Walmart and Target. I didn't do it by moving boxes or fixing their assembly line. I did it by automating their Scope 3 carbon compliance reporting using 3 specific AI tools. While most of you are wasting your time trying to sell AI-generated headshots for $20 or writing generic blog posts for pennies, the real money has moved into B2B regulatory compliance. High-level executives aren't looking for cool AI, they are looking for a way to avoid getting dropped by their biggest clients. This is the carbon compliance goldmine, and almost nobody is talking about it because it sounds boring. Boring is where the profit is. If you haven't heard of Scope 3 emissions, here is the situation. New regulations in California and the European Union are forcing massive corporations to report the carbon footprint of their entire supply chain. That means if a giant retailer wants to keep selling in those markets, every single one of their small to mid-sized suppliers has to provide detailed data on their own emissions. These small manufacturers have no idea how to do this. They are running on outdated ERP systems and messy Excel sheets. They can't afford a $50,000 audit from a Big Four consulting firm, but they will happily pay you $7,000 to make the problem go away before their quarterly review. Most people trying to make money with AI right now are making the same fundamental mistake. They are looking for creative outlets. They want to make videos, art, or stories. In a gold rush, you don't want to be the guy painting pictures of the mountain, you want to be the guy selling the maps to the gold. In this scenario, the map is a compliance-ready carbon audit. Most people think they need a degree in environmental science to do this. You don't. You need a structured workflow and a way to ground your AI in real regulatory data so it doesn't hallucinate. If you use ChatGPT out of the box for this, you will fail. You'll give the client wrong numbers, they'll submit them to a retailer, and they'll get sued. That's why you follow a specific technical process. The actual method starts with data extraction. You aren't going to sit there and manually type in numbers from utility bills. That's a waste of time. You need to gather 3 types of documents from the client: their electricity and gas bills, their freight and shipping manifests, and their raw material purchase orders. This is where the first AI tool comes in. You use a specialized OCR tool like DocSumo or any LLM-based document parser that supports structured data output. You feed it the PDFs, and you tell it to extract the date, the quantity of energy or material, the unit of measurement, and the vendor. Once you have that data in a clean CSV or JSON format, you move to the core of the work, carbon mapping. Every material and every kilowatt-hour has an emission factor. For example, a ton of steel has a different carbon cost than a ton of aluminum. Usually, an auditor would spend 80 hours looking these up in massive government databases. We're going to use a custom-built RAG, that's Retrieval Augmented Generation, system. You take the EPA's emission factors for greenhouse gas inventories and the UK government's conversion factors, which are both public domain spreadsheets, and you upload them into a tool like NotebookLM or a custom GPT with its own knowledge base. Now, you feed your extracted client data into this grounded AI. Your prompt needs to be clinical. You tell the AI, using only the provided emission factor databases, categorize each line item in this client data and calculate the CO2 equivalent. If a specific material isn't in the database, flag it for manual review. Do not guess. This is the difference between a toy and a tool. By grounding the AI in official databases, you eliminate the hallucination problem that makes standard AI useless for compliance. After the AI processes the data, you'll have a raw list of emissions. But a client won't pay $7,200 for a spreadsheet. They pay for a carbon disclosure report. This is where you use Claude 3.5 Sonnet. I specifically recommend Claude over GPT-4o for this because its reasoning capabilities for technical documentation are currently superior and its tone is less marketing heavy. You feed the calculated data into Claude along with a template for a standard ESG, environmental, social, and governance report. You tell it to draft the executive summary, the methodology section, and the recommendations for reduction. You should be looking for low-hanging fruit in the data. If the AI shows that 40% of their emissions are coming from a specific inefficient shipping route, that's a reduction insight. That insight alone justifies your entire fee because it helps the manufacturer show their big retail clients that they aren't just measuring the problem, they are solving it. I've done this for 3 clients now. The first one took me 12 hours because I was still figuring out the prompts. The last one took me about 5 hours of actual work. Let's do the math. $7,200 for 5 hours of work is $1,440 per hour. Show me a content creation side hustle that pays that. It doesn't exist. This works because you are solving a hair on fire problem. The manufacturer is facing a comply or die situation with their retail partners. When a business is facing an existential threat, they don't haggle over a few $1,000s. If you want to start this today, don't start by building a website. That's another trap. Spend 48 hours learning the basics of the GHG protocol. It's the global standard for carbon accounting. You don't need to be an expert, you just need to know the vocabulary. Know the difference between Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3. Then, go to LinkedIn. Use the Sales Navigator filter to find operations managers or sustainability coordinators at mid-sized manufacturing firms, specifically those with 50 to 200 employees. These companies are big enough to have the problem but too small to have a dedicated department to fix it. Your outreach shouldn't be a sales pitch. It should be a warning. Tell them, I'm helping suppliers for retailers like Walmart and Amazon prepare their 2025 carbon disclosure reports to ensure they don't lose their vendor status. Do you have a process for Scope 3 reporting yet, or are you looking for an automated solution? That's it. You'll get a 10% to 15% response rate because you're hitting a massive pain point. When you get them on a call, don't talk about AI. If you tell them you're using AI, they'll think it's unreliable or that they could do it themselves. Talk about proprietary data processing and automated compliance auditing. You are selling the result, the report, not the tool. You're selling the security of their contract with their biggest customer. The tools you need are simple: DocSumo for OCR, Notebook LM for grounding the data in regulations, and Claude 3.5 for the final report generation. Total cost for these tools is less than $100 a month. Your first client will cover your overhead for the next 5 years. Stop looking for the easy, viral, side hustles. Everyone is doing those, which means the margins are zero. Look for the technical, regulatory, and boring problems that big businesses are panicking about. Carbon compliance is just one. There is also supply chain transparency, AI ethics auditing, and data privacy compliance. These all follow the same workflow: data extraction, grounded analysis, professional reporting. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme where you click a button and money falls out. You have to understand the data. You have to check the AI's work. You have to be able to explain the report to a client. But if you are willing to spend 3 days learning a specific regulatory niche, you can charge more for one afternoon of work than most people make in a month of prompt engineering for social media. The window for this is wide open right now because the regulations are new. In 3 years, there will be massive software companies that automate this for $500. But right now? Right now, it's a wide-open field of high-ticket consulting. Go to the EPA website, download the emission factor spreadsheets, and start building your RAG system. The businesses in your local industrial park are waiting for someone to solve this for them. Be that person. If you want the specific prompt sequences I use to turn raw utility data into a formatted ESG report, or the list of manufacturing niches currently under the most pressure from retailers, you know where to find the links in the description. No fluff, just the workflows that actually hit the bank account. Get to work.